No! It's too short. Need a runner. Hello! Welcome to the Oh, I forgot the name of the tag. Really, computer? Really? Welcome to the NY Times Buy the Book tag. I'll leave a link below to the original creator of the tag, but I've seen it around and I thought this is pretty interesting, so I'm going to do it. Question 1. What book is on your nightstand right now? On my nightstand, or table, I have Wonder by R.J. Palazzo, and I've got my Kindle. Hey! Question 2. What is the last truly great book you read? Truly great, truly great. What is the last truly great book that you read? How do you measure truly great? Does that mean that it's like literary genius that the world hasn't seen before? Because I could think something is truly great, but then like everyone else could be like, no. So I'm going to go with The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Half because it's a very emotive book and it meant a lot to me reading it, but also I think because it's one of the very few books I read this year that had a lot of very wide-ranging influence, and it's very well known globally and very well recognised, and I think quite rightly it's recognised for being a very good book because the way it's written is very different, the subject matter is very important, and it's, you know, learning about the war from this perspective is so different from how we're taught it in school. It's truly great in more senses of the word than just I liked it. Question 3. If you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you like to know? I'd want to meet Terry Pratchett, and I wouldn't really want to know anything. I just want to have a conversation and, more importantly, just tell him how important he was as a teenager in terms of reading and learning about life, humour and satire and character and just how to treat other people. He was a very formative writer for me, and I just want to talk to him about that and stuff. Also, I'd want to know where he got his hats, because he had some great hats. Question 4. What books might we be surprised to find on your bookshelves? The Pointless Book by Alfie Days, because it's a secret snacking compartment which I made for my wife. And she ate all the snacks. Question 5. How do you organise your personal library? It kind of goes something like this. Does this book fit in this gap? Yes! Does this book fit in this gap? No. Well, that looks good. Yeah! I don't really organise my books. If they're part of a series, I'll tend to put them together. When I was younger, it's something I did because my mum would force me to get rid of some books to make space for new ones. So then I'd put them back on the bookshelves and kind of organise them a bit in terms of genre. But nowadays I don't really do that, mostly because my books are separated between 3 bookshelves. Question 6. What book have you always meant to read and haven't gotten around to yet? Anything you feel embarrassed never to have read? A book that it's not necessarily that I've always meant to read it, but I've wanted to read it for a very long time, is The Handmaid's Tale. I've just never gotten around to buying it and reading it, or if I've seen it in the library, I've just never gotten it out. Also, for a very long time, I've meant to read House of M, which is an X-Men storyline, and again, I just haven't gotten around to it. And then a couple of books that I'm embarrassed not to have read, because a lot of other people have, would be Pride and Prejudice, because that's a really famous book and loads of people have read that and it's apparently great, and I've watched the miniseries, but when I found out that Colin Firth doesn't actually walk out of a pool in the book, then I kind of got bored. I mean, when I found out that there's no way to save myself from that, I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't think I'd enjoy reading it. There's also a few newer books that I really want to have read, and it's kind of embarrassing how much fantasy and sci-fi I've read and I haven't read them, and that's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which I really want to read, and Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. That's a classic, and I just haven't done it yet. I don't know why. Question 7. Disappointed, overrated, just not good. What book did you feel you were supposed to like but didn't? Do you remember the last book you put down without finishing? That's a long-ass question. So a book that I feel I was supposed to like and wanted to like and I just couldn't sort of read was Victor Hugo's Les Mis, because I was enjoying it, but again it's very long. It's a very prosaic style, and I just found it quite hard to sit down and just, if I had a couple of hours, then yeah, I could read it, but if I was just on the bus or something. I couldn't just flick in and out. As for the last book I put down without finishing, it was Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. This used to happen to me a lot, especially when I was a child, but I would be reading a book which I was enjoying, like Flowers for Algernon, and then I'd get my hands on another book which I wanted to read more. So I'd immediately start reading that, and I'd just never return to the original books. Question 8. What kind of stories are you drawn to? Any you stay clear of? I'm drawn a lot to the kind of outsider versus society kind of plot, where there's someone who's very different. I quite like those books. Also, books that follow a very typical hero's journey, just because I find that a very sort of familiar structure for a book. And it's something I can follow quite easily. Also, any books that have a sort of element of discovery. Whether the character is discovering something about themselves, or whether it's more like a crime and they're discovering secrets about the crime. That kind of aspect, the intrigue, I really enjoy. Any books I stay clear of, generally if the protagonist is meant to be, like, perfect. Daniel Johns was a very well-built man. He was handsome to all the ladies. He went into a room and people were like, I wish I could be him. He was really intelligent. Then he solved a crime before lunch, and then someone attacked him, but he was able to fend them off, no problem. Like, come on! Your protagonist has to be flawed. They have to have vulnerabilities, and it can't just be shitty vulnerabilities like Christian Grey's "My mother was a crack whore." So what? Not that that's not a horrible thing. That is a horrible thing, but the fact that that was just casually thrown in as an excuse for his fetishes. Not that I've read 50 Shades of Grey. I've heard about it. No, seriously, I've heard about it. No, guys, come on. No, guys. No, I haven't read it. Shut up. Shut up, okay? No, I've read about it because people were talking about it. There was that Everything Wrong with 50 Shades of Grey, which I watched on YouTube, and that, you know... Oh... Question 9. If you could require the President... Prime Minister... Question 9. If you could require the Prime Minister to read any book, what would it be? How to Be a Woman by Kathleen Moran. Because it deals with several issues, notwithstanding modern feminism, but also it deals a lot with, like, fringe groups of society, and also like poverty-stricken areas in the UK in the 80s, which still things are generally better now, but we still have that kind of problem in the country, and I think it was very important for me to have read the book because I was like, I didn't know it was that bad for some people not too long ago. Also, I learned quite a lot about childbirth. As a male Conservative Prime Minister, it's something which would be good for him, I think. Maybe. Question 10. What book do you plan to read next? So my current shortlist TBR is Wonder by R.J. Palacio, Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Aliosanes. Also, I want to read Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling because I started rereading all the Harry Potters and I'd forgotten some of the really great stuff in those books, so I want to read one of those from time to time to finish up the series. Anyway, that was the New York Times Buy the Book tag. I wasn't tagged by anyone, I'm not going to tag anyone. If you want to do it, it's a good tag to do, it's quite interesting. And next week, there will be a review video. There will be a review video. There will. If I said anything which is interesting to you, please comment and have a chat about that. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching.